Here is a number that should change how you think about Social Security forever. The break-even age, the point where waiting to claim finally pays off, sits in your early 80s. That means if you do not live past 82 or 83, filing early was not a mistake, it was the right call. Quick note before we dig in. This is general education, not advice for your specific situation. So if you are a married homeowner in your early 60s trying to decide when to flip on this income stream, stay with me. Most videos on this topic argue one side. I am going to walk you through the 7 specific situations where filing at 62 is actually the smarter move, and the 1 situation where waiting wins. By the end, you will have a framework instead of a formula. Let me start by killing a myth that probably shaped what you have been told. For decades, people believed that 2/3 of Americans grab their benefit the moment they hit 62. That story is no longer true. According to recent Social Security Administration data, in 2024, only 22% of men and 23.3% of women started benefits at 62. The share of people claiming at the earliest age has fallen to under 30%, a major behavioral shift over the last 2 decades. Why does that matter? Let's take a look. Because the conventional wisdom you are reading online is solving last decade's problem. People are already waiting longer. The real question is no longer whether to wait, it is whether waiting is the right move for your specific life. And here is where it gets uncomfortable. About 90% of retirees collect Social Security, so this decision touches almost everyone watching. For 3 out of 5 retirees, Social Security is more than half of their total income. If more than half of your retirement check depends on one decision, getting the timing right is not optional. It is foundational. That is why the stakes are so high. So why is this so hard to figure out? Because the popular life expectancy number is misleading. You have probably heard that the average American lives to about 79. That number is for someone at birth. If you have already made it to 62, the Social Security Administration estimates you will live closer to 84. 5 extra years of expected life completely changes the math on every claiming decision you might make. Picture this. You are sitting at your kitchen table with a yellow pad, doing the same calculation thousands of people did this week. You think you will live to 79, so you plan around that. But the actuarial reality is closer to 84. The 5-year gap between those numbers can mean over $100,000 of difference in lifetime benefits, depending on when you file. Same person, same benefit, just a different assumption about how long you will live. Now let me give you the actual numbers, because abstract talk about benefits is useless without them. Imagine someone we will call Marcus. Marcus earned $90,000 in his final working year. According to standard Social Security calculations, Marcus would receive roughly $2,238 a month if he files at 62, $3,198 a month at his full retirement age of 67, and $3,966 a month if he waits all the way to 70. That spread is huge. The age 70 benefit is about 77% larger than the age 62 benefit. So why would anyone file early? Here's the answer. If Marcus files at 62 and lives to 84, he could collect around $615,000 in lifetime benefits, before counting any cost of living adjustments along the way. The decision is not just about the size of the monthly check, it is about how many checks you actually live to cash. You might be thinking, okay, but waiting still has to be better. Let me argue the other side honestly, because filing early is not a free lunch. Delaying past full retirement age grows your benefit roughly 8% per year until age 70. That growth is real, it is guaranteed by federal law, and it is adjusted for inflation. Some advisors describe it as one of the few risk-free returns left in modern finance. Now here is where I have to be careful. That 8% figure is real, but it is a simplification. The actual effective return, after factoring in the years you skipped and inflation assumptions, is typically lower than that headline number. Still, even a 5 or 6% guaranteed inflation-adjusted return is hard to beat. And the bigger benefit you build, the bigger the protection your spouse inherits if you die first. Social Security is essentially an inflation-adjusted lifetime annuity, and waiting buys you a bigger one. So if delaying is so powerful, why would anyone file at 62? Because life is not a spreadsheet. 3 independent realities can flip this decision in ways the standard math never captures, and that is what we are going to walk through next. The first situation is health. If you have a chronic condition, or if your family history points to a shorter than average lifespan, the break-even math collapses on itself. Imagine someone whose father, uncle, and older brother all passed in their mid-70s. Telling that person to wait until 70 for the bigger check is essentially telling them to bet against their own genetics. Filing at 62 locks in 8 years of guaranteed income, they actually have a high chance of collecting. The optimal answer is not the maximum check, it is the maximum lifetime collection. The second situation is honest financial necessity. Some viewers do not have a portfolio big enough to bridge the gap from 62 to 70. If your only options are claim early or take on more debt, claim early is almost always the right call. Picture a 62-year-old who lost her job at 60 during a layoff, burned through her cash, and is staring at a credit card balance growing every month. Waiting until 70 on a theoretical 8% boost while paying 24% on credit card debt is mathematical malpractice. Aligning the money with your real life beats optimizing for a theoretical lifetime maximum. The third situation is the one most retirees never think about. It is called sequence of returns risk. This is the danger that a market crash in the first few years of your retirement permanently damages your portfolio. If you retire at 62 without Social Security and the market drops 40% in your first 2 years, you are forced to sell investments at the bottom to pay your bills. Losses sold during a downturn can take years, sometimes more than a decade, to recover from. Picture a retiree who started withdrawing in 2008 with no Social Security cushion. Every dollar they pulled out at the bottom is a dollar that never participated in the recovery. Filing early acts as a financial shield. It gives you guaranteed income so you can leave your investments alone while the market heals. Now you might be thinking, I will just diversify and ride it out. That is sound advice in theory, but diversification does not pay your mortgage in March. Social Security does provide that foundation. Used as a shield, an early benefit is not a reduction, it is a risk transfer. Social Security does, it's guaranteed. The fourth situation is spousal strategy. If you are married, your claiming decision is not yours alone, it is a household decision with 2 lifetimes of consequences. A spousal benefit can be up to 50% of the higher earner's full retirement age benefit. Picture a couple where one spouse earned much more over their career. The lower earning spouse can often file at 62 and collect a spousal benefit, providing real household income, while the higher earner delays to 70 to maximize the bigger check. The fifth situation builds directly on that, and this is the most missed insight in the entire decision. Survivor benefits are based on the deceased spouse's benefit amount, and the surviving spouse keeps the higher of the 2 checks, not both. If the higher earner files early and locks in a smaller check, that smaller check is what the surviving spouse will live on, potentially for decades. If the higher earner delays to 70, that bigger check is what gets passed down. So when the higher earner waits, they are not just buying a bigger benefit for themselves, they are buying long-term protection for the spouse most likely to outlive them. You might be thinking, just have both of us file early to lock something in. That instinct sounds safe, and it is wrong here. Filing early permanently reduces both your benefit and what your surviving spouse inherits. The lock-in instinct can quietly cost a household hundreds of thousands of dollars over a long widowhood. The sixth situation is the tax window. Up to 85% of your Social Security can be taxed depending on your total income. On a $30,000 annual benefit, that means up to $25,500 exposed to your marginal income tax rate. Now layer on this fact. Required minimum distributions from traditional retirement accounts kick in during your 70s. Many retirees end up with a tax cliff, low taxes in their early 60s, then a sharp jump once required distributions start. Filing Social Security in those early lower income years can sometimes mean a smaller portion of your benefit is taxed compared to filing later, when required distributions push your total income higher. Run the numbers with a CPA, but for some retirees this single planning move is worth tens of thousands. There is one important edge case here. If you have a large traditional IRA and you are still working part-time at 62, filing might push you into a higher bracket immediately and worsen your tax picture. The standard advice fails here. The right move depends on your specific tax situation, which is exactly why you need someone running real numbers for your household. The seventh situation is the one nobody puts on a spreadsheet, and it might be the most human. Financial planners sometimes call them go-go years and no-go years. A dollar you spend at 63 on a trip with your spouse, on a project, on time with grandchildren, is not the same dollar at 83 when your knees, your energy, and your travel partners may not be what they once were. Waiting 8 years for a bigger check makes mathematical sense. It assumes the experiences are equally valuable in both decades. For many people, they are not. Now you might be thinking, that sounds emotional rather than financial. It is also a real form of return on your money. Yes, delaying gives you a bigger guaranteed inflation-adjusted income later. But early dollars buy experiences that cannot be purchased later at any price. That is not irrational, it is honest accounting of what money is actually for. So let me put this all together in a real-life scenario, because the framework only matters if you can see it working in messy reality. Picture a couple, Linda and David. David is the higher earner. Linda files at 62, collects a spousal benefit, and uses that income to fund their travel and reduce withdrawals from their portfolio. David delays his own benefit until 70 to maximize his future check. 5 years in, David passes away unexpectedly. Linda transitions to David's larger survivor benefit, which is now permanently higher because he waited. Linda collected real income in her healthy years and ended up with the largest possible monthly check for the rest of her life. That is responsive timing beating perfect timing. Neither spouse claimed at the mathematically optimal age. Together, they built a stronger household outcome than either could have alone. This is also why diversification of income sources matters so much. Gallup data shows that 94% of retirees with multiple income sources report being financially comfortable, compared to just 60% of those who rely only on Social Security. Your claiming strategy is one piece of a bigger income picture, not the whole picture. Here's the meta insight that pulls everything together. The real variable in this decision is not the formula, it is uncertainty about how long you will live. No one knows for sure. The break-even age sits in the early 80s. Life expectancy at 62 sits around 84, but those are averages. Your number could be 10 years earlier or 10 years later, and you will not know until you get there. No spreadsheet can resolve that, only a personalized framework can. So what do you actually do with this? 3 quick takeaways for someone like you. First, run your own break-even numbers with your actual benefit estimate from your Social Security statement. Do not rely on a generic example. Second, think household, not individual, especially if you are married. The survivor benefit decision is a multi-decade decision. Third, stay flexible. Your health, your portfolio, and the market will all change. Reassess every couple of years, not once. This is general education, not personalized advice. Before you act on any of this, talk to a financial advisor or a qualified CPA who knows your full situation. Your circumstances are yours, and the right answer depends on details a single video cannot see. If this changed how you think about claiming Social Security, hit subscribe. I cover one of these decisions every week. And if you want a starting point for your own numbers, the retirement planning guide in the description walks you through exactly what to calculate and what questions to bring to your advisor. Now, claiming age is only half of the retirement readiness puzzle. The other half is the savings number you have actually built up beneath all this. You have probably seen those headlines pushing a $1 million target as the real finish line. The next video in this series digs into how much American retirees have actually saved and why measuring your readiness against your real income needs matters far more than chasing some round number on a magazine cover. Click play, and we will keep going.